Welcome to the ultimate deck guide for Mr. Negative, one of the most powerful build around cards in Marvel Snap. Today's guide is going to kick you off with a deck list that you'll be able to build even if Mr. Negative is your very first Series 3 card that you've opened, and it's going to scale on up into deck lists that I enjoy playing at infinite rank on the ladder with my almost complete collection. Let's go ahead and talk about what this powerful card is doing to start. So 4 energy, -1 power. On reveal, swap the power and cost of all cards in your deck. This means our Mr. Negative decks are going to want to be constructed in a way that they are looking to leverage cards that have high energy costs and, more specifically, low starting powers. So that way, when they're drawn out of our inverted deck, they are cheap or, in some cases, completely free to play out, still provide their base powerful effects, and have potent power to add to the battlefield on top of it. Let's go ahead and jump on into our first deck list now. Our budget deck today for Mr. Negative has an on-reveal sub-theme thanks to White Tiger working well with both sides of what this deck is looking to do. White Tiger starts off as a 5 energy 1 power card that on reveal creates a 7 power Tiger at another random location on your board. Mr. Negative inverts her to be a 1 energy 5 power card, meaning you get 12 stats out of a 1 energy card when an inverted White Tiger comes off the top of your deck. White Tiger being curved into Odin at the top end of our curve is an excellent way for us to win games in an honest manner when Mr. Negative doesn't show up in our draw. Storm not only serves as a means of mitigating location variance, but White Tiger as well as Ironheart give us extra ways to get power into that flooded zone if things don't break our way when that location closes up. Jubilee has synergy with Odin as well as Mr. Negative, and she provides an additional chance for us to hit our key card on the 4th turn of the game when it isn't in our starting set of cards. As your collection grows and you're looking to upgrade this budget negative deck, the two big things to keep an eye out for are definitely Psylocke as well as Magic. Psylocke on turn 2 can give you Mr. Negative on turn 3, letting us draw an extra inverted card over the course of the game. And similarly, Magic creating Limbo gives us a 7th turn, which we are able to leverage with an additional inverted card to great effect. Now, one awkward thing to note with this particular build of Mr. Negative is that unlike the Peak, if you Mr. Negative and Odin, it will turn into an 8 energy card that you are unable to play. That being said, despite this anti-synergy, I think Odin is still a great inclusion in the top end of this deck because White Tiger into Odin is going to be able to win us a lot of games that Mr. Negative does not show up. Our mid-tier Mr. Negative list here features 4 other Series 3 cards in addition to our namesake. Both Psylocke and Magic that I called out as nice upgrades to the budget list are present here to allow us to get the most value out of Mr. Negative when it does decide to show up. In addition to those, we are also leveraging Mystique, who is excellent for doubling up our Iron Man or Blue Marvel effect, as well as Sarah, who kind of serves as a secondary Mr. Negative adjacent card to allow us to have explosive turns even when we're unable to invert our deck. You will note that we're dropping the on reveal sub theme, which smooths things out a little bit, especially since the overall curve of the deck does come down a touch since we're trimming Odin off of the top. This next deck list, or stock negatives I refer to it, is my preferred negative deck list in my Series 3 complete collection. It has 2 additional Series 3 cards past the mid-tier list that we looked at moments ago. Rogue is an excellent tech card not only in Mr. Negative mirror matches, but it's also excellent at picking off opposing things like Patriots or Cerebro to disrupt our opponent's game plan. Mojo is a cheap card that again helps bring our curve in line so we're not getting stuck with too many expensive cards in hand, and it's a card that can have a large stat line that doesn't get messed up when it gets inverted by Mr. Negative, thanks to the fact that its large stat line largely comes from its ongoing effect. This next Mr. Negative deck list has perhaps the most explosive turn 6s in the game right now. In addition to Mr. Negative being able to invert our deck and let us draw a number of cards at incredibly reduced cost, Silver Surfer adds 3 additional power to every 3 energy card on our board when it flips up. Not only can Silver Surfer become completely free having 3 power itself once it's been inverted by Negative, but it's noteworthy that Silver Surfer cares about the original cost of our cards, not what we actually paid for them in terms of energy. This means even if our Ironheart was free or our Bishop cost 1 energy to put into play, Silver Surfer is still giving each of them plus 3 attack. Absorbing Man is another wonderful tech card in this deck. It can produce additional Broodlings if we play it on turn 4, but it can also double up our Silver Surfer trigger on the final turn of the game to give our board an extra big boost. Now, Absorbing Man is a Series 4 card, so that means it's lacking in some players' collections. You can substitute Wong in this role, who is actually more powerful in some spots, albeit more telegraphed and susceptible to disruption. So there's a little bit of a trade-off there, but not a strict downgrade, which is nice. The 5th and final Mr. Negative deck list in our ultimate deck guide today is Negative Black Panther. If you're someone that enjoys having a backup plan when your Mr. Negative is feeling shy, Black Panther plus Zola are a 1-2 punch on turns 5 and 6 that can single-handedly win a game on their own. Black Panther plays out to an empty location on turn 5, doubles its power to 8. Arnim Zola follows it close behind, destroying our original Panther and creating copies of it at each other location where they double their stats up to 16. Both of these cards also play well when inverted by Mr. Negative, though. Black Panther becomes a 4 energy card that doubles up to 10, and Arnim Zola becomes an absolute monster. 0 energy with 6 points of stats that can not only duplicate a Black Panther, but it can also send additional copies of Blue Marvel or Iron Man across our game board for incredible amounts of additional stats. The absolute nut straw that this deck is capable of producing in the final moments is if you draw 3 cards after you Mr. Negative, you can Wong for 2 energy, Black Panther for 4 energy, and then Arnim Zola for 0 energy, all in one fell swoop at an empty location, putting an absolutely insane amount of stats across the board that your opponent almost assuredly will not be ready for. Now, because we're looking to leverage Wong alongside Panther and Zola, we also have a small on-reveal sub-theme in this deck similar to the initial budget Negative deck that we showcased today. White Tiger is a card that can put a ton of cats out alongside Wong. Mystique can copy Wong in addition to Iron Man to give us even more on-reveal effects, and Ironheart can go absolutely crazy, spreading power all across the board if her on-reveal trigger is doubled or even quadrupled with Mystique in the mix as well. As a final note on card selection for Mr. Negative decks, it is also worth noting past the Series 3 and 4 card recommendations I made here today, there are a couple cards currently still in Series 5 that can be excellent additions to play with Mr. Negative. Bast here is a wonderful addition to both Stock Negative and Surfer Negative, likely replacing a piece of bottom end in either of those, such as Mojo. Valkyrie is another potentially powerful card that becomes a 3 energy, 5 power card that can boost the power of things like Mr. Negative or Ironheart or Iron Man that were perhaps played to the board but not inverted initially. And finally, if we were looking for an additional Series 5 tool to tech into the Negative Panther deck, that was my final suggestion today. Shuri seems like an excellent tool for that. She's a less predictable Wong that can make your cats even larger before Arnim Zola sends them copying across the board. Thanks for being one of the awesome folks that made it all the way to the end of the video. Remember, if you learned something or enjoyed one of these deck lists, be sure to tap that like button and leave a comment down below letting me know what that was. If you have any feedback or suggestions or requests for the future of this Ultimate Deck Guide series. I would love to hear those as well. This is a newer content piece on the channel that I'm definitely looking to grow and improve. And if you happen to be new here, please consider subscribing. In addition to deck guides like this one that are deep dives on single cards, I also post deck highlights, game news, updates, and other Marvel Snap tidbits here 7 days a week. And I'd love to see you back again. Thanks as always for watching, and hopefully we'll see you back again real soon.